reading my comment section this morning, and I read a comment that said, well, my team YOLO rushed in, they were trying to flank, and they all absolutely sucked and died. They don't know how to flank. Could you please make a tutorial on how to flank the enemy team? And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video. We are going to be breaking down the nitty-gritty on how to flank enemy opponents, when it is best to do so, and how it can greatly improve your chances of winning a game, of course, if you're in light tanks or medium tanks. I would highly suggest to not flank in heavy tanks or tank destroyers because, yeah, that's not really their role on the battlefield. Now, of course, if you enjoyed today's video and you would like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But we're going to start off with Strat Sketch, talking about the positions and where you can flank, but as well where you probably don't want to be. Now, the object of flanking, or the idea, is that let's say you have these two mediums here, and let's say these guys don't exist. Well, basically, you drive your mediums off to the side, and now you're putting cover fire into this guy. You can try and shoot this guy and the heavies in the rear. When you're shooting these heavies in the rear, they're either going to have to turn around and start dealing with the mediums over here, or they're going to have to just get shot in the rear and deal with the heavies on the front. That is how flanking can be extremely influential. You're catching vehicles off guard that normally wouldn't have to deal with vehicles on their side. Flanking can be extremely influential because it causes a diversion, gives the heavy tanks a much better advantage. It can be very, very influential. The issue is normally, if you wanted to flank, the enemy team does have medium tanks as well. Guaranteed, no matter what battle you play, you'll probably have one or two medium tanks / light tanks on each team. So the first thing you need to do to flank is you have to either have no mediums or lights on the enemy team, have that player, like let's say this is their lights or mediums, push over here. Then you've got an easy cruise right across. But most of the time, you're going to see a standstill like this. The first thing you gotta do is beat these two tanks. If you beat those two tanks, then you basically do as I said, you come up to the side and you kill them. But in a medium tank, my advice is focus clearly on shooting the mediums. Don't worry about the heavies at the beginning of the game. Don't worry about the tank destroyers. As a medium tank, your job is to try and clear the enemy mediums. When you think about it as a light or a medium, the only thing that's going to outspot you and catch you down or track you down is a medium. They've got very good DPM, they've got good mobility, and the same spotting range as you. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers, sure, they might have good alpha, some of them have decent mobility, but they're not going to outspot you. They're not going to have a turret sometimes, as tank destroyers do sometimes struggle with. So in most scenarios, your biggest threat as a medium is the enemy medium. So clear them first, and then you push through to flank. And of course, I've got some gameplay to show this. Now, I normally would do live gameplay, but this is a kind of example where live gameplay would be absolutely pointless because it's so incredibly hard to get that one perfect game on live gameplay that show just exactly how to flank. But the best kind of flanking vehicles, in my opinion, are the autoloaders. A vehicle like the Bot Chatillon 25-ton, a vehicle like the TVP 5051 as well. And the reason I find those tanks incredibly strong at flanking is, first of all, they're very quick. And as well, with that clipping potential they have, you dump out a massive clip into anybody you spot out in the open, or, somebody that's dealing with the heavy tanks up in the front line. And that's when you're able to strike and get massive damage out. Now, Hellas is another very similar game where, of course, you've got the medium side where I'm going to, and the heavy side on the other spot. And you're going to notice right off the bat, if I read the enemy lineup, they have one T-62A. And with that, basically, I've got free range if that 62A either loses the fight to me or pushes to the other side of the map. But you'll also notice I'm being very, very careful. I don't know where the enemy team is. Nobody's been spotted, and because of that, I was actually very worried in the beginning of this game. You can see me turning around. I was like, oh boy, I'm getting out of here before the enemy team gets spotted, and they start to kill me, but they got spotted all the way over by the heavy side. Just took them a little bit of time. By the way, this shot here, yeah, RNG be like, yeah, F you apparently, but we're going to get the second chill in, and this is where flanking does an amazing job. Now, to flank, it doesn't mean that you have to go all the way around their team. It just means, in my opinion, that you have shots on opponents that don't really have the ability to engage you. So you can see 1, 2, and 3 shells into that FV-Tuned 5B183, and that's 1,000 buckaroos of damage we've already ripped off the enemy team. And with that, now I'm just going to continue to be on their side. I'm causing cover fire for my team. That Maushin is obviously not enjoying this all too much, and with that, we're going to penetrate a second shell onto the side of the Maushin. We're now sitting at 1,630 damage. And as you can see, this is incredibly easy. We're going to load a heat shell, and it's going to go, sheesh, perfectly right into the back buddy, or the booty, should I say, of that motion. And again, like, I can easily sit here the entire game. Even if I bounce at E3, I don't need to worry. And as you can see, this is what makes being a flanking medium tank, or a vehicle that is fast, so incredibly influential. We're definitely sitting over 2,000 damage now, and with that, we're very easily going to continue to pick up damage this battle. I'm pushing in now as quickly as I can. Of course, this AIM-X 30B is incredibly quick, and because of that, I'm easily reaching 66 kilometers per hour. Now we've got the FE-2 5B183 off to the side. Nice tap into him. I've got to be a little bit careful because, of course, that 183 can ruin my entire game. But again, it's going pretty easy so far. We're now at 2,300 damage plus the 2 blind shots. So actually, we're probably around just shy of 3,000 damage. But I'm trying to aim in on this E4. Again, I've still got the rear of the enemy opponents. And because of that, we've taken over 3,000 hit points off of the Mauschend. We've taken a huge chunk off of basically their entire team. Now, definitely, this was an easy game, and this was a lucky game. The 62A did not push to the side, and, yeah, give that guy a little bit of a love tap there. But in normal scenarios, you would have to fight a medium tank, or even 2 or 3. It depends on how the enemy team pushes. But if you have an enemy team that pushes towards the heavy side, and I'll pull up Strat Sketch in just a moment again to show basically any map works for this. I really wanted to get a shot into this E4 here. You can see me aiming perfectly at his lower plate, and yeah, that's kind of sad, isn't it? Yeah, AIM-X 30B got me kind of frustrated today, I'm going to be honest. It really struggled penetrating those easy shells, but we got a fire, and there you go. A pretty solid game, 4,579 plus those 2 blind shots, which means we're sitting most likely over 5,000 damage here, and sheesh, there you go, 5,265 damage. That shows you how easy it is to rack up damage if you're able to take advantage of the enemy tanks. Now, granted, we did get a huge chunk off of that E75, but still, it's very easy to get damage out if you flank on the medium side. And it's not just for this map. If we clear all these heavy tanks and stuff, basically, I would say about 70 to 80% of the maps in the game, if you flank, you will come out in a victory type of way. It goes for Desert Sands. The medium tanks come up behind the heavies like this, and the heavies get killed right here. It goes, let's see what other maps we got here. Dead Rail, oh, we already did Dead Rail. Copperfield doesn't really exist anymore, but I guess if you're in lower tiers, it's still very easy as a medium tank to just come up behind the heavies on Copperfield. It's very strong for basically any map in the game. It goes for Castilla, you push your medium tanks off to the side here, and you either come up all the way behind, or you can sit right up on the castle here and shoot them. I know that looks like a lot of lines, but it's very beneficial for any map in the game to get shots into the heavies, but as I said, you need to clear the mediums first. That is extremely important. Another thing I said, which I want to reiterate very importantly, is flanking does not mean YOLOing in and dying after the mediums are dead. You know, if you're Bobby McDooferson once again here, you're not just going to yeet your tank straight over to here into their spawn. That's a terrible idea. What I do on this map is I'll stay somewhere around this position, and that way, you know, if their heavy tanks are up on this hill over here, I'm going to be able to shoot those heavies right from this position here. It gives you much easier shots. So flanking, in my way of playing, is just kind of getting covering fire on the sides and rear of heavy tanks. You don't need to risk losing hit points. Usually, I stay far enough away that I'm not going to be detected, but it is a very beneficial thing to winning basically any game. But there are certain maps that you can't flank in, and a good example of that would be like Mines. Now, Mines, the reason it doesn't really work, this does not look like Mines, but either way, Mines, the reason it doesn't work all too well, and let me clear all this stuff out of the way again. The reason why Mines can be a very big struggle is because, well, you know, you've got your tank destroyers back here, and those TDs are extremely deadly. And, you know, if those tank destroyers are sitting where they normally would be, basically every game on Mines, if you try to flank over here, well, you're going to be shot. Pretend those are mediums, but you're going to be shot because, of course, the tank destroyers have a line of sight straight down to here. So you got to be careful. If you try flanking this way, either heavy tanks go that way sometimes, or again, you'll deal with tank destroyers. And the only spot mediums really go on Mines is right around here. So there are maps and certain maps in the game where it's much harder to flank, but for the most part, it's extremely easy to win if you are able to win the medium side and your heavy tanks hold, you come up right behind them, and bam, you come out with that victory. That is my personal opinion, but let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. If you agree or disagree, please let me know. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll hopefully be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.